This is the response plan to Organic Sabotage by Blake Bridges, Kaylin Moorfield, Cameron Banderega, and Mary Catherine Bird. There is an unhappy employee on an organic dairy farm that personally feels he is being treated unfairly and underpaid. The unhappy employee is also considered the newest employee and is a social outcast with his fellow employees and the owner. The organic dairy farm recently got a raise in price for their milk, and the unhappy employee feels he should be rewarded for his contribution to the success. He decides to sabotage the farming operation by injecting 10 random cows with the antibiotic Lucomycin LA200. Due to 10 random cows being injected, the antibiotics will be passed from their bloodstream into their milk, causing contamination of the milk due to this being on an organic dairy operation. The owner of the operation will then have to pay for the contaminated milk load, snap tests to test which cows were injected, and will have to suffer the milk loss of the 10 cows injected with the antibiotics, resulting in over $1.5 million lost. Many suspects were to be considered for this operation. Anyone who could have access to the cows that day of the milking harvest, a disgruntled employee, anybody who was a social outcast, underpaid or undervalued, or was looking for a way to get noticed.
Using any antibiotics before this incident, what antibiotic was used, and which cows and how many of these cows were contaminated.
The unhappy employee sabotaged the organic dairy farm because he felt he was being mistreated and underpaid. The unhappy employee was left out of conversations between other employees and the owner on and off the farm. He was also considered the social outcast, which was further motivated him to send a message to the owner. In order to possibly prevent this from happening, the owner should have tried to involve the unhappy employee with conversations and involve him with other employees. The owner also should have tried to create a relationship with the unhappy employee to prevent any controversy or problems to occur. The unhappy employee felt like his work went unnoticed and was doing little to nothing on the farm. The owner also could have asked his other employees to make the unhappy employee feel included and important to the success in the organic dairy farm. Another way to prevent this from occurring would be giving him a slight raise over the year. It wouldn't have to be much, but enough to keep him happy and feel that his hard work was noticed. Another thing that could have been utilized to prevent this from happening would maybe be keeping an eye on this social outcast and not leave him alone. If the owner knew he was unhappy, he could limit his availability to certain operations on the farm. He could also have someone with him at all times. But if he has to be watched all day, he may not be wanted as much on the farm.
When it comes to antibiotics, the dairy cow industry takes the issue seriously. There is much testing that is done to make sure that milk does not have any antibiotic residue in it. Usually milk will be sampled and tested on the farm first. Next, the truck driver will take a sample from the bulk tank and the milk will be tested again. The milk is finally tested once again when it gets to the processing plant. As for on-the-farm testing, this would be up to the farmer themselves. Some farmers may not see the need to test for antibiotic residue, especially organic farmers who are not allowed to use these antibiotics anyway. This could be useful, though, as a safety measure not only for the potential customer, but for a farmer's reputation for a quality product. If the farmer can detect any issue in the milk early on before the truck gets there, they will be able to save themselves a lot of money. Once the milk is already sent off and something is detected in the milk, the farm can be charged money for the truckload that their milk was in. According to the attack plan, the estimated cost that this could end up being is $1,638,800 for a truckload. Once it is realized that there may be cows in a herd that have antibiotics in their system, there needs to be a test done to find out which cows need to be removed from the herd. To detect which specific cows have been injected with antibiotics, a farmer can use a SNAP test to test for tetracycline, chlorotetracycline, and oxytetracycline in the milk. Once these cows are detected, they can be removed from the herd and sold. Training may be required to teach employees how to use these tests.
The farm will need to test each of the cows to figure out which ones may have been injected with the antibiotics so that these cows can be removed from the herd. To do this, a SNAP test can be used to test for tetracycline, chlorotetracycline, and oxytetracycline in the milk. According to the attack plan, the farmer has 300 cows. The tests come with 20 per box, so the farmer will need to order 15 boxes. The boxes are $80 a piece, meaning 15 boxes will cost $1,200. A cost that the farm will endure if they choose to start early detection of antibiotics in milk is that of the test that can detect this. There are several different ways and tests that a farm can utilize. Since the farm will have already trained the employees to use the SNAP test, this may be the easiest test to stick with. If the farm continues to milk on average 300 cows per day and wants to test each cow's milk, this could end up costing around $438,000 for testing once a day, every day for each cow. Along with the cost that the farm will endure, there will also be a loss in profit. Since 10 of the farm cows have been injected with an antibiotic, these cows' milk will not be able to be used ever again on an organic farm. These cows will need to be sold. The cost of an organic cow, according to the attack plan, is $2,000. Once the cows are sold, they may bring around $400. There will also be a loss in profit due to having to feed these cows until the withdrawal period is over and these cows are sold. This would be around $400 to feed each cow for at least 30 days. These cows' milk will also have to be dumped, so there will be no profit being made off their milk, but they still have to be milked to maintain their health.
In response to the organic farm's milk supply being tampered with and 10 cows injected with antibiotics, the incident command system is implemented immediately. The farmer is the ICS commander on the farm once the detection of antibiotics is found in the milk. It is the farmer's responsibility to immediately report the findings to the Co-op Organic Valley. At this time, the Organic Valley has sent one of its vets to test for antibiotic residue in the milk. They will not buy any milk until every cow is tested, tanks and lines are sanitized, and antibiotic-free. As the commander, you understand the magnitude of lost income from selling no milk. The initial response to an attack like this is to identify areas in the production facility that pose possible security or safety breaches. Physical security in production areas such as locks on all raw milk containers, as well as the installation of security cameras, might limit this problem. There should never be any poisonous or toxic chemicals in the work area around while in production and should be stored correctly. Secondly, with organic milk prices much higher than conventional milk prices, it is important that the farmer follow all USDA regulations to operate as an organic dairy farm. Any successful owner knows the importance of good personnel and the value they bring to the day-to-day operations. Employee screenings before hiring is an okay tool to get a general feel of how they might fit in with your operations. But the communication after hiring with the new hire as well as fellow co-workers to understand how the flow is going and address any unusual behaviors is better. Restricting access to certain areas or computer programs allows for better control over critical control points. Proper training and retraining is needed to keep employees aware of new techniques or just to refresh what is the right way. Procedures must be set up for many biosecurity reasons and traceability to protect the farm. In response to a criminal attack like the organic farm, it is important to have a good record stating.
This incident was the result of poor assessment of the work environment on a dairy farm that blew up in the farmer's face. There were multiple red flags that should have been aroused suspicion that something of this nature would happen. The problem at hand was just dismissed and undervalued by the owner and many of the workers. This lack of attention led to an act that was detrimental to the farm and their profits. Our recommendation basically boils down to keeping a close eye on the employees, the cows, and the milk that is produced. This was also caused because the workers themselves noticed a problem with a certain employee and did not keep track of or cater to him. This worker was excluded from the group and treated unfairly by his boss, unfair pay compared to his peers. A huge chunk of this problem could just be solved by treating each employee fairly and with respect, and you won't have to worry about one of them rebelling. This also could have been prevented through proper surveillance and security. If proper security techniques were in place, then this disgruntled employee may not even been able to access the cows that he targeted for the attack. The second thing we recommend is for better testing of the milk that is going to be sent to market to make sure that the collection of milk is not contaminated and will provide the best quality milk for the consumer. This can be done by taking a snap test when it is time to collect milk for the cows to be sure the milk is free of any antibiotics. This will guarantee a positive reputation for the farmer and prolong their profitable business.